Hi, I'm Robin Jones with some highlights from Revelation. We'll be looking at events in the Middle East leading up to the return of Jesus. From the unfolding prophecies, we can see this is not far away. These prophecies are about Israel, the surrounding Arabs, the kings of the East, and biblical Babylon, which is a symbol for the kingdoms of men and today includes Iraq, Syria, and Turkey. This is the area of the Euphrates River and Eden, where God first made a garden. But the place where it all began is perhaps the greatest witness to just how hopeless is man's inability to look after the earth and the people who live on it. The Bible tells us that in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that's in them. In Revelation, there's a new creation after God's wrath is poured out on those who destroy his first creation. I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. This is symbolic language for the passing of earthly rulers and a new kingdom ruled by Jesus. Revelation describes the witness of man's kingdom in total disarray, the sun, moon, and stars losing their light, especially in the area it calls the throne of the beast. We're all familiar with scenes like this: the war in Syria, 320,000 killed, millions displaced. Let's read a prophecy about it from Isaiah. Damascus will no longer be a city, but will become a heap of ruins. Her cities will be deserted. So at this stage, the cities of Damascus, or the kingdom of ancient Syria, lie in ruins, but Damascus, the city itself, still stands. It's not hard to see what's coming. Recent headlines from the Jerusalem Post read, "If Iran expands in Syria, we'll bomb Assad's palace in Damascus." It's only a matter of time before Damascus falls. The prophecies are unfolding. Another prophecy we're witnessing is that of refugees leaving the area of Babylonia, fleeing the day of trouble, fulfilling the words of Jeremiah 51. I will send to Babylon fanners who will fan her and empty her land, for in the day of trouble they will be against her round about. The demise of Saddam forms part of these last day prophecies as well, which Revelation 9 describes. The fifth angel sounded his trumpet, and I saw a star that had fallen from the sky to the earth. The star was given the key to the shaft of the abyss. Saddam was a star that fell to earth, just like Nebuchadnezzar, the first king of Babylon, did in Isaiah 14. How you have fallen from heaven, morning star, son of dawn. You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations. Saddam even equated himself with Nebuchadnezzar, seen here on this medallion. Once Saddam was gone from power, the shaft of the abyss was opened. Discontented Arabs were given an opportunity to rise. Revelation 9 continues. The sixth angel sounded his trumpet, released the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. The powers bound at the Euphrates are loosed, restraint is gone, exactly as we see in that whole messy area today. A headline from 2015 reads, "At War in the Garden of Eden." Nothing has changed. And for more insight on these events in Revelation, we can compare the 6th bowl and the 6th seal, because the seals, trumpets, and bowls of wrath run in parallel and all end at the kingdom. They're repeated visions, just like the repeated visions in Daniel of an image and then beasts talking of the same event. Also, Pharaoh having a dream of wheat and cows about the same event. So we've read about the 6th trumpet and loosing of powers at the Euphrates River. We can compare that to the parallel time period from the perspective of the 6th bowl of wrath in Revelation 16. The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east. 3 impure spirits came out of the mouth of the dragon, the beast, and false prophet. They go out to the kings of the earth and the whole world to gather them for the battle. Behold, I come as a thief. Then they gathered them together to the place that in Hebrew is called Armageddon. The seventh angel poured out his bowl. Out of the temple came a loud voice saying, "It is done." The cities of the nations collapsed. God remembered Babylon the Great and gave her the cup filled with the wine of the fury of his wrath. Notice this parallel event is also talking of events in the same area, the Euphrates. It's drying up, meaning the powers controlling it. First we had Saddam, then ISIS, who managed to get control, but they've lost it now as well. The kings of the east refers to Iran, sworn enemies of Israel. If you're familiar with the Daniel 7 prophecy of the little horn, it seems that Iran is lining up to fulfill it. Even the cartoonists are recognizing that Iran is on the move. The spirit of deceit in this chapter, the dragon, which Revelation describes as Satan from the beginning, is alive and well, as is the false prophet, radical Islam, which empowers the beast. An army is gathered from many nations. They're getting ready for the final battle. But notice it's at this point that Jesus says, "I come as a thief." This is for the church or bride. He'll catch the sleeping ones unaware. The place Jesus returns to is Jerusalem, with the saints who meet him in the air. Zechariah 14 talks of his return. "I will gather all the nations to Jerusalem to fight against it. The Lord will fight against those nations as he fights on a day of battle. On that day his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, east of Jerusalem." So even though at the moment we're seeing armies gathered at the Euphrates, it's Jerusalem where they will be drawn to. This mountain of Megiddo, which is the Hebrew meaning of Armageddon, will seem like an insurmountable problem to Israel. We've talked about the Arab nations, but running parallel to their witness is the witness of Israel. Let's read some highlights from Revelation 11. "I was given a reed like a measuring rod and was told, 'Go and measure the temple of God and the altar with its worshippers. I will empower my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth. They are the 2 olive trees and the 2 lampstands, and they stand before the Lord of the earth.'" This is a bit tricky. What is the 2 olive trees in God's temple talking about? Luckily, God gives the answers to the tricky bits in the Old Testament. The imagery of this passage is straight out of Jeremiah 11. It's as if Revelation is remembering how the Jews were supposed to be and measuring them to see if they've learnt their lesson yet. Let's read about them. Jeremiah 11. "What is my beloved doing in my temple? As she, with many others, work out her evil schemes. The Lord called you a thriving olive tree. The Lord Almighty who planted you has decreed disaster for you, because both the people of Israel and Judah have done evil." So here we have the language of Revelation 11. It's also a reminder of their history. This is a timeline showing how they split up after Solomon into Judah and Israel. 2 nations, 2 witnesses. Both nations failed God. Ezekiel also refers to the time when the 2 nations are back in the land as one. "I will gather them from all around and bring them back into their own land. They will never again be 2 nations or be divided into 2 kingdoms." This is another amazing fulfilled prophecy, Israel coming back to the land which we've witnessed in our days. As another sign to the world, God has empowered these 2 witnesses, Israel. Also from Revelation 11, we'll read, "I will empower my 2 witnesses. If anyone tries to harm them, fire comes from their mouths and devours their enemies. They have power to shut up the heavens so that it will not rain during the time they are prophesying, and they have power to turn the waters into blood and to strike the earth with every kind of plague as often as they want. And this is exactly what's happened. Since their establishment in 1948, Israel have miraculously survived 4 major Arab-Israeli wars. The 2 witnesses are described like Elijah and Moses. Elijah, the blue part, having the power to close the heavens and bring fire on enemies, and Moses, the red part, striking the earth with every plague. Moses and Elijah used miracles as a witness of God's power. Israel's survival under attack from hostile Arabs is a miracle of biblical proportions. But there's even more to this. Moses performed miracles before entry into the Promised Land, and spiritual Israel is about to go into the Promised Land, along with literal Israel who repent. We're told that Elijah is to precede Jesus before entry into the Promised Land. So the witness of Israel with miraculous victory over their enemies in the manner of Moses and Elijah is another appeal to the Jews to remember who's behind the miracle of their existence, which is a witness to the near return of Jesus. If we go back to Revelation 11, we see that the time for the victory of the 2 witnesses runs out. Now, when they have finished their testimony, the beast that comes up from the abyss will attack them and overpower them and kill them. So this doesn't look good for Israel. They are attacked by the beast from the abyss. The beast of the abyss is the morphing kingdoms of men who have rule over Israel. In the Old Testament, they had names like Assyria, Egypt, Babylon, the Medes and Persians, and the Romans. In Revelation and Daniel, the beast morphs into Hitler, followed by the 10 horns of the beast and another horn or power which rises amongst them. In the language of Psalm 83, these 10 horns are surrounding Arab nations who, with one mind, want to wipe Israel off the map. Come, they say, let us destroy them as a nation, so that Israel's name is remembered no more. So we've seen from all of this that the Bible tells us what's happening and why. In the words of Jeremiah, flee Babylon, run for your lives. Now is the time to get ready for the coming of Jesus. This research is an extract from the book Revelation, The Time is at Hand by Robin Jones, available as a PDF or hard copy at the top link, or you can simply read it online on my blog. Thank you.